sponsorship with us.
Good evening. How are you guys doing? Good? He got you worked up, man. He had a little competition, guys, gals screaming. I think the ladies won. They were warned. Guys, we were horrible. I'll just be honest. We were horrible. There wasn't a deep voice in the crowd, man. I don't know what happened. So, hey, but good evening. My name is Scott. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I'm in recovery from sex addiction and compulsive overeating. Hey, glad you guys are here tonight. Tonight we get to talk about sponsorship. Woo! We all got sponsors, right? We hope. That is one of those things that we get to it and it's like those conversations we just avoid. I don't want to talk about sponsorship. Like, that's weird. And we all know who doesn't have a sponsor because they get really, really quiet when it comes to that conversation. Or they go, hey, I've asked 12 people and they've all told me no. I've been there. I've done that, man. I've been in recovery, and it's a bummer when you've been faced with rejection your whole life, and then you're faced with this topic, the fear of stepping out, going, hey, can I invite you into my whole entire life, every secret sin I've ever done? Will you come and listen to this? And they go, I just don't have time. Oh, the rejection is tough. And so today it's my goal to help you guys be able to deal with some of those questions, some of those thoughts that come behind this. And really, we're starting to deal with principle 4, which is openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to someone I trust. And the verse that goes with that is Matthew 5:8. Happy are the pure in heart. And so the fact that we would examine and confess these things to God, to ourselves, and to someone we trust is a pretty big step. And usually that person that we go share this with is going to be our sponsor. And so we're talking about we're transitioning from the third step where we've surrendered our life and our will over to the care of God into this fourth step, fourth principle, where we're starting to make this inventory and we're examining our life. And let me just tell you, if you do this alone, you're going to get screwed up. If you do this alone, you're going to be back out using. It's kind of a given. So you need to be able to figure out, how do I get a sponsor before I continue this step? And so the step reads this. It says, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And the verse says, let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. Lamentation 3:40. And so this step doesn't really say, hey, let's go get a sponsor. It's kind of one of those implied things in the steps that at some point early on, you're starting to get a sponsor. In AA, NA, some of these secular programs out there, that's one of the very first things that you do. Get a sponsor, get a sponsor, get a sponsor, get a sponsor. Celebrate Recovery, it's one of the things that I've noticed around here. It's one of those first things we tend to dig our heels in on. I've done good this far, right? In my life, I don't need anybody to help me. That's what got me in the room in the first place. Why wouldn't I want a sponsor to come alongside me and help me? And so I want to talk to you guys about that tonight. This step is not meant to be done alone. This fourth step is not meant to be done alone. And I'm going to go through that in a little bit. What does that really mean? We've struggled so long with these issues and addictions and hurts and pains and trials and temptations and habits and enabling behaviors, and all of a sudden we think we can do it all by ourselves. And it's a mistake. Sometimes we may actually need a sponsor or a Shrek. Let's watch this video.
We must be getting close.
Yeah, right, brimstone. Don't be talking about it's the brimstone. I know what I smell, and there wasn't no brimstone. Didn't come off no stone either.
Sure, it's big enough, but look at the location.
Shrek.
Remember when you said that ogres have layers?
All right. Well, I have a bit of a confession to make. Delegates don't have layers. We wear our fear right out there on our sleeves.
Wait a second. Donkeys don't have sleeves.
You know what I mean.
Oh, you can't tell me you're afraid of heights.
No, I'm just a little uncomfortable about being on a rickety bridge over a boiling lake of lava.
Come on, donkey. I'm right here beside you, okay? For emotional support. We'll just tackle this thing together one little baby step at a time.
Really?
Really, really.
Okay. That makes me feel so much better.
Just keep moving. And don't look down.
Look down. Look down. Keep on moving. And don't look down. Don't look down. Keep on moving and don't look down. Trip! I'm looking down! Oh, God, I can't do this. Just let me off right now, please.
But you're already halfway.
Yeah, but I know that half is safe.
Okay, fine. I don't have time for this. You go back.
Shrek, no,
Just
wait.
donkey. Come on, let's have a
Wait,
dance
Shrek.
then, shall we?
Wait.
Donkey.
Ah, don't do that!
Oh, I'm sorry. Do what? Oh, this?
Yes, that!
Yes? Yes, do it. Okay.
Ah! No, Shrek! No!
Stop doing it. I'm doing
Oh,
it.
God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Shrek, I'm gonna die.
Oh. That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
Oh, let's go ahead and cut it there. So many times in our recovery, we need that sponsor to walk on that bridge with us. We get so scared when we get to that fourth step. I've got a few sponsees right now that are all stuck on the fourth step. They've been there and they've been like, I'm ready to share the fourth step with you, but it's been months. And they're scared to get to that point. And at some point, they've got to acknowledge there's a sponsor on that bridge with them, shaking it, going, dude, come on, let's get going. Let's get moving. I'm not going back. I'm not going to let you go back. We're going to go forward. We're going to cross that bridge and let's get through this. And we need that person in our life to do that, because a lot of times we get stuck otherwise, and we have problems with that. But here's the question that we got to ask is, why do I need a sponsor or an accountability partner? Why do I need a sponsor or an accountability partner? And that's wrong up there, so we're just going to go with my notes because that's what I got. Why do I need a sponsor or accountability partner? And it's this: pride and the fact that I haven't surrendered to God. You're too proud in your recovery or in your life that you would actually surrender and let somebody come into your life. I'm not going to tell them that. Therefore, I'm not going to humble myself and put my place in a spot I still have to control everything around me because I'm too scared at what other people may think or feel about me. And so there's this pride, this arrogance that rides that and keeps us there and doesn't allow us to get that freedom that we need. We still haven't done that third step officially, and so we're still not ready to move on to this fourth step. Well, let's look biblically. Biblically, why do you need this? Well, let's go through the Bible. Let's look at Moses. Moses was a great sponsor to Joshua. Do you realize that Moses walked with Joshua, and there was a time in his life where he handed off the ministry to Joshua? Joshua, here's the things that I've taught you to do. Now go and do them. What about even David and Jonathan? They're more accountability partners, how I see it, but there's some David and Jonathan. Probably the best example I see in Scripture of two guys that are sponsee is Elijah and Elisha. Wow. A dude doing ministry, and Elijah was messed up. He killed hundreds of prophets, but then one woman was after him and he took off. He was scared. He had his own issues, but he had miracles that were coming out of his life, crazy. God used him in amazing ways, and he brought Elisha alongside of him as a sponsee to train and to raise in how to do ministry and taught him how to do things. What about Jesus? Well, that's Jesus. He is the perfect sponsor, right? We all have Jesus as our sponsor. But here's the deal. He was sponsoring 12 guys. He had 12 guys. Some of you are like, I got too many sponsees out there. you don't have 12. Jesus had 12, that's all I'm saying. So if you've got 2 and you're like, I'm really tapped out. Come on, man, we got people that need sponsors. Let's get going. But here's the deal, man, is we do have Jesus who had his 3 guys that he really poured in his life into. He had John, whom he loved, Peter, James, right? We have all the other disciples. Well, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12 says this. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie down, they keep warm. But how can 1 keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against 1 who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. It's not meant to be done alone. I coach football, and one of the areas that I coach is special teams. And everyone's going to be scouting us now through this video, but here's what we do on special teams. It's pretty basic. We have this thing called the wedge. Now, it used to be that the first 5 guys would drop back and they'd link arms. And they'd run down the field with their arms linked. The problem was that too many injuries that started to happen. But we still run that basic formation on our kick returns. We have 5 guys that drop back to form a wedge. They go shoulder to shoulder, and then they move upfield. Why? Because it is harder to go through those 5 guys than if they're spread out and it's 1 guy. If there's 1 guy out there, and I've seen it time and time again, this guy's running full board, and this guy tries to step over to block him, the guy just jukes him. It's that simple. But 5 guys together, you can't knock that down. In our recovery, when we have people that come alongside of us and get shoulder to shoulder and say, let's do this together, they start moving up the field. Next thing we know, we have a broken play. Boom, touchdown. It's that simple. I tell my guys that and they still haven't figured it out, but it's okay. It's okay. We're going to get it this year. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says this, iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another. We need somebody in our life to sharpen us. We need somebody that isn't going to just be a pushover, but is able to actually sharpen us, hone us in, and allow us to get better. We actually have to come to a place where we realize that I need this. I need a sponsor. I got some stinking thinking, and I need somebody that can help think for me. We actually have to humble ourselves. John chapter 3 says this, for everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his work should be exposed. But whoever does what is true comes to the light, so that it may be clearly seen that his works have been carried out in God. Whew. Part of getting a sponsor, part of getting an accountability team is actually stepping into the light. It's stepping out of that darkness and hiding and stepping into the light to let other people in to see our works. This also is a key part of our program. Key part of our program is this, that we actually have an honest view of reality. It helps us have an honest view of what's really going on. See, I've got a sick mind, and so a situation can happen, and I got this thing called stinking thinking or impaired thinking, and I think it all went down because of one reason. I share it with my sponsor, and all of a sudden he goes, really? You're an idiot. It didn't happen like that. Oh, okay. I remember one sponsor specifically that I had a few years ago that would constantly say, Scott, your reality is not reality. Your perceived reality is not reality. The other thing is this also helps us show up. When I've got a sponsee, I'm making sure they're showing up. I'm making sure that they're here. When I've got a sponsor, I'm going to show up for him because I want to meet him in recovery meetings. We go to a group and we go to recovery with our sponsor. We do recovery together. I hope that helps with your attendance. It also helps you maintain your spiritual program, the spiritual aspect of your recovery. It helps you with your prayer life taking time out to sit and think and pray, to meditate on the Word of God, to meditate on things that are right, to actually spend time in His Word, to sit down and to open up the Bible and to read. For some of us, that's a foreign concept. For some of us, our daily quiet time consists of listening to Caleb. And although that is good, we need to spend time in His Word. And hopefully that helps us with it. Another thing that it does is it gets us in service. If you listen to Scott Miller's testimony and you hear about how he began recovery, one of the first things he did was start being the coffee guy. He started making coffee for his meetings. Now, we don't do that here. We run it a little bit different, but that's how he did it in his home group, in his home meeting. Hopefully you're getting in service. If you have a sponsor and they're not in service, get another sponsor. If you have a sponsor and you're not in service, get another sponsor because they're not making you do it, and get in service. Because service is love in work clothes. Service is love in works clothes. It's the act, it's the showing of that love. There's plenty of opportunities around here to suit up. Plenty of opportunities. We got a food team. We got dessert. We got all that kind of stuff that happens. We've got a skeleton crew running our technology team tonight. We had a guy calling sick. We had another that almost had to leave. We had our worship guy that stepped out tonight because he was sick. Sometimes we run skeleton crew. There's plenty of opportunities to serve. We got cameras that need help doing. We've got slides that need to be made. We have things that need to get done. We do have a coffee area that needs to be cleaned. Because all you guys with your sugar packets. And I don't know why we open it up here and not all right over the cup. I don't get it. But they go, poof. I walk by and I relapse from that area because all the sugar I sniff in. I don't know what happens over there, but it explodes. So there's plenty of opportunities in that area. It also helps us guard from relapse. When we have a sponsor, and why we need a sponsor is it actually protects us from going into relapse. See, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 5 says this. It says, "It is better for a man to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of the fool." So many times in my life, I love to hear people sing that song and just tell me how amazing I am. Scott, you're so awesome. I know. Come on, tell me how I'm awesome, though. And I wanted that. But what we need in our life to really help us in our recovery is for that person to shoot straight with us. And yes, I know that through Christ, I'm awesome. I also need somebody to tell me, Scott, you screwed up. Now, I don't hate you because of it, but here's how you messed up, and here's how you make it right. We need those people in our life. So what are some of the qualities that you're looking for in a sponsor? What are those qualities of that sponsor? Well, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5 says this: "The purpose is in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out." You want somebody that understands you and can draw things out of you. You want somebody that understands them and they therefore can understand you. That's why when I sit down with a sex addict, I know when they're BSing me. I know when they're trying to push one over on me. I have one guy that came in my office a couple months ago, and he sat down there for the first meeting, and I just sat and listened to him. I love this dude. I just listened to him, and then I took the last few minutes and I just spoke. And he goes, "You don't know me that well." And I went, Yeah, I do. And he's like, "I can't believe you knew all that." It was absolutely amazing. And we need people in our lives that know us. That's why it's important when we're looking for a sponsor that it's in the same area. If you're a sex addict and you've got somebody that is a drug addict, that's not going to be necessarily the best mesh. You got to have somebody that I believe knows and understands what you're dealing with and can help walk that road. Some of the questions you may need to ask is this: does their walk match their talk? Does what they say live out in life? So when they're in an open share group and they're sharing, does what they share really match what their life is really like? I mean, if they're sitting there presenting to you that their life is perfect and amazing and so awesome because of all this recovery in group, and then they walk out and they get in their car that they live in, does that match up? I would say probably not. I don't know all the circumstances to my hypothetical situation, but I would probably say probably not. Is there living, are they living the program and biblical principles? That's the question. Does he or she have a growing relationship with Jesus Christ? Are they attending church? Are they going on Saturday night, on Sunday? Do they have a home church? Do they have a walk with the Lord? Are they talking about their time that they spent with God? Do they understand that? Or are they just Christian by name? Do they express the desire to help others on the road to recovery? Or do they look at them with disdain? You want somebody that desires to help those in recovery. Do they show compassion, care, and hope, but not pity? You don't want somebody to take pity on you, but you do want them to be compassionate, to care for you, and to give you hope. Do they have those things in their life? Are they things that flow out of them? To not feel sorry for you, but to be sensitive to your pain. That's part of why it's important that they've walked that road you've walked, because they understand the pain that you've gone through. That's why I love our step 12 verse that we use about giving compassion to others, because we ourselves have received compassion. That's how we're able to do that. Are they a good listener? And I'll be honest with you. I'm not always the best listener. You can ask my wife. There's times that I am not a good listener. There's times that I'm sitting there and I look like I'm paying attention and I'm in ADD land. I am out there. I am like, it's crazy. I don't know what happens, but I just disappear in my land of Scott, and that's not always good. Now, over the years, I've learned to get better and hone that in and not disappear in conversations. But the question is the person that you're talking to a listener, or all they want to do is share with you and not ever let you share with them? Are they strong enough to confront your denial or procrastination? Are they strong enough to deal with that? I mean, are they going to step up in your grill and be like, let's get this work done? I got a guy that I say, hey, text me every single day. I didn't hear from him for a week, so I texted him and said, hey, it's been a week. I did my walk. Did you do yours? And then I haven't heard from him again. Are they willing to step up and confront? Or are they just going to let it go? Does he or she offer suggestions? Do they command you to do things, or do they offer suggestions? Remember, they're not your boss. They are your sponsor. They can only offer suggestions. Do they offer you suggestions? Do they share their own current struggles with others, or are you their person that they share that with? So all of a sudden, the relationship goes from you being the sponsee to now you're the sponsor. But hey, I haven't done the fourth step yet. Should I be sponsoring you? No, you shouldn't. He needs to talk to his sponsor, or she needs to talk to her sponsor, right? Great points, great thoughts. What is the role of the sponsor? What's the role of this person that you're going to invite into your life? What's that role like? What's that supposed to be like? Well, he or she can't be there to discuss issues in detail that are too personal or would take too much time in a meeting, or they are there. So you go to an open share group, a lot of times we like to regurgitate our whole life story in those meetings. And those meetings are when it goes, meh, it's a stinky meeting. When that happens, that means the meeting has gone downhill. I'm just going to be frank with you. It's not a time to regurgitate everything in life, but those are the times that you go, oh, I need to go talk to my sponsor about these things. Yeah, that's why they're there. Step study. We go through the 4th step. You get 3 to 5 minutes, every question. So you're telling me in 3 to 5 minutes, you're able to do your whole 4th step on all those questions? Yeah, right. Go talk that out, talk everything out with your sponsor. That's what they're there for, because we can't fully share everything in our open share and in our step studies. So that's why we have them there. The other role is they're available in times of crisis or potential relapse. I got a guy that says, hey, I'm struggling, I need help. Hey, my way of dealing with this is stop by the liquor store on the way home, go home, get sauced, look at porn, and then the next day I'm regretting it. Thank you for calling me beforehand. Right? That's the first step. But then all of a sudden, we start talking about those things. Why? What's going on? What's happening? Let's process through these things. Are they there to help you with those potential relapses? I got a guy that says, hey, my line of work, I got to go to this area. It's a winery. That's a problem in my past. I'm just letting you know I'm going there. And guess what? I check in with them later and say, how'd it go? Good, totally fine, I'm great. Awesome. Does he or she offer, oh, I already did that one, never mind. I went back up I was all whoop, whoop. My ADD, my dyslexia kicked in, I apologize. Ecclesiastes 4:12. When you walk, your step will not be hampered. And if you run, you will not stumble. Is that what that sponsor offers you? Is when you walk and when you run, that you won't be hampered and that you don't stumble? Are they there to come alongside you and help you find freedom in your life? Are they a sounding board by providing an objective point of view? Most importantly, does he or she attempt to model the lifestyle that results from working the steps? Are they active in service? And this is an important point that we don't understand. They can resign at any time, and you can fire them at any time. That's the great freedom. They can resign at any time, and you can fire them at any time. That's something that we don't understand. We think we're in it for life. It's okay. There's times in life that we may need to move on, or they need to move on, or we're not working our program, and so they need to say, hey, we're done. And that's okay. That's okay. Next question is this: how do I find a sponsor or accountability partner? Great question. Watched a movie a couple years ago called Smashed about recovery. Let's watch this video.
I really liked your speech.
Oh, thank you, honey. All that done happened, so now I'm glad it's at least entertaining. What's your name?
Kate. This is my first time in one of these things. I mean, at least it's my first time that I'm not wasted. So.
Yeah, I remember doing some of that myself.
I'm sorry, I don't really know how this works. Could I get your number? Or I don't know if I'll need it.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'll be happy to explain it all to you. And we can also just talk.
Cool.
It's that simple. That's it. Just go up to the person and be like, hey, can we talk? Can I get your number? Can we talk? Don't worry, they know you're not hitting on them. It's not weird, man. Just ask them for their number and talk to them and see what happens, what goes from there. It's that simple. There's other things that you can look at, but maybe first and foremost, that they need to be the same sex. They need to be the same gender as you. Guys with guys, gals with gals. Also, that they can relate to you can relate to their personal story. That you'd be able to relate and understand what they're sharing. So when they share an open share group, they're the guy that you're going, dude, he's lived my life. I connect with him. And that's the person that you want to ask. I want what they got, and I'm going to go ask them. Maybe if you're looking for somebody, because you're like, I don't know where to find them, come to the barbecue at the beginning and eat dinner with people. Get to know them, fellowship with them. After meeting, buy them coffee or get them dessert for $1 and talk. Or get the free coffee out there and talk. Or just show up and talk. Just hang out and start being around the rooms of people that are finding success in their recovery. Don't take it personally when they say no. I mentioned this earlier. There's been so much rejection in our life that sometimes we take things personally. But if they say no, don't take it personally. Try to say thank you and move on to the next. Last thing, and probably the most important thing, is pray and ask God to lead you to that right person. Pray and ask that God would lead you to that person to sponsor you. In your shares, an open share group, if you're looking for a sponsor, you may want to share this at the end as, hey, I'm looking for a sponsor. If somebody is available to help me out with that, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. And then simply end your share with that. Or if you're open to sponsor, that at the end of your share, you would say, hey, I'm open to sponsor. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I'd be open for that. It's a novel idea. I don't know. What is the difference between a sponsor and accountability partner? A sponsor is a coach. An accountability partner is a teammate. I'm a coach. I've played my high school years of football. They were glorious days, though. Everyone's in here was glorious days. I know it was. But here's the deal. I can't step on the field anymore and help out my guard and my tackle know the blocks. I can't do that. I do that off the field during the week, during practice, when I meet with them. When they're game time, they got to have their partners, their accountability partners right there next to them, helping them along this journey. One of the things that I've learned from Scott Miller is we need a team of people that are alongside of us saying, I'm with you. This is a great example of with you. Just watch this video. I think. Maybe. Matt, we got it? We don't. There it is.
Trailing 12-10. Langer pushing it wide. Walters onward. Kahn joins in. Floats the pass for Renoff. Renoff down the touchline. Beats one. Gets it in field. Hancock gets it on. Queenslander coming back. Darren Smith for Langer. Langer gets it away. Here's the big fella. Gets the pass on. Coyne goes for the corner.
Is that not amazing? Like, what in the world?
It's a miracle. Oh, yeah. What about that one?
You guys are like, we don't understand rugby. We do not know what just happened there. Let me just tell you what happened there is they had guys running down the field and they kept saying, with you on the right, with you on the left, waiting for that ball to be passed. And the ball was passed and the next guy caught it and kept running. And the guys, his teammates were running alongside him going, with you on the right, with you on the right, with you on the right. And the guy would toss it to him when he was right about to get tackled. They had a full team of people saying, with you, with you, with you. The question is, do you have a team of people alongside you saying, hey, I'm with you on the right, I'm with you on the left? You need to get one. Find a sponsor, find some accountability groups, because that is how we make it through the recovery process. Let's stand and close our time with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever the next. Amen. Amen. Hey, we'll see you guys after open share group. First time